What's going on, Shane?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. Had a crazy day today. We're
I
both
mean,
wearing black. I see. Ready for the show?
past uh, past couple of days have been a couple long days at work and everything, but terrible timing to start this show. The fucking Devils just scored to go up 1-0. So,
Man, you know you're a shit hockey team when you're losing to the Devils.
all right, there's 17 minutes and 46 seconds left in the second period. So, talk to me after the game.
All right, sounds good. I want to start off the show on kind of a little bit of a different note. You and I both love talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and how crap they are.
Yep.
But I'm actually going to bring up something positive about the Leafs here. The score is 3-1 right now. The Leafs are leading the Senators at the end of the first period. Austin Matthews scored his 15th goal of the season, NHL leading 15th goal. Now, something that I've heard a lot on Canadian media, because that's all they ever freaking talk about is the Leafs. Is Austin Matthews a legit contender for an NHL award this season, whether that be the Selke, the Hart, the Rocket, anything? Because I was looking it up before this show. No Toronto Maple Leaf player has won any type of NHL award since 1961. That is 60
No
years. 60
No,
years.
not a single award.
60 years. No one on the Maple Leafs has won a single award in 60 years. Does Austin Matthews break that streak this year?
Right. Yeah, I think, he definitely could lead the league in goals this year, which is the Rocket right there. I don't necessarily. Do you think he could win the Selkie? I don't think he's that strong.
I don't know. I don't know really about the Selke because I mean you're going up against like
Patrice
big time
Bergeron.
Patrice Bergeron, Sean Couturier, big time players like that. But I mean Hart, he definitely could.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rocket, absolutely.
If they finish like the way that they're going right now, and then they make it past the first round for fuck's sakes once, yeah, he can win a Hart because he's already got 15 goals in 17 games.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in a 56 game season, he's on pace to be over 50 goals right now, which is pretty damn incredible. That's pretty incredible.
To put it into perspective, McDavid has 9 goals right now.
McDavid has 9 goals, but he also has over 30 points. He got his 500th point last night.
Yeah.
And
that's another thing.
That's another thing I want to talk about. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is everyone has been comparing Connor McDavid to Sidney Crosby ever since he entered the league, and whether he is better than Sidney Crosby or not. Both Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid reached 500 career points in their 369th NHL game. McDavid tied Crosby for 8th fastest to get there to 500 goals. What do you think? Is McDavid better than Crosby? Do you think he still needs to, win a cup to cement his legacy there, or what are your thoughts on that?
He's gonna need to win something. Like Crosby, just on his resume, completely outweighs McDavid. Not taking anything away that McDavid has done thus far. Like, he's absolutely proven that he's going to be a talent in the league for a long time. Mm-hmm. But if he can bring Edmonton like a cup or like anything, it's pretty hard to say that he was as good as Crosby. Now, the game has changed like a lot since Crosby came into the league in 2006 or whenever it was. So, of course, the best player in the league right now is going to be a lot faster than the best player in the league was in the mid-2000s. Like, that's just a fact. The game is so much faster right now than it was back then.
Right, exactly. But I do feel like, I'm not just saying this because I'm obviously a Homer Oilers fan, but I do feel that, like, Connor McDavid has had a lot more highlight reel plays than Sidney Crosby has had recently. That could be because Crosby's 10 years older and out of his prime, so they say. But, I mean, when Crosby was 24 years old, he was putting up highlight reels all over the place.
Yeah. And
so
the difference is, do you think Crosby is like his main asset is speed? I don't necessarily think that McDavid the first thing you notice when you watch him is he can skate faster than anybody, like no question, hands down at all.
I will say this: I'm not a Crosby fan. Crosby is probably a better playmaker than McDavid in his own way, but McDavid is good because of his speed. He blows by everyone. No one catches him. He's by far the fastest player in the league.
Which could be why he has so many highlight goals, because by the time he gets to the goal, everybody's behind him.
Right. Right,
so
exactly.
Everybody likes a breakaway goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So we're going to kind of just, go through each division like we have for the past weeks on this show. So we're going to start, as always, with the North Division, Canadian Division. Maple Leafs are still in first place.
Yeah, let's start with the division that everybody cares the least about.
Maybe where you're from.
Toronto, yeah, still in first. I'm so surprised Montreal's up there too. But I noticed earlier there's a 6-point difference between the first and second seed in the division, and that's larger than any other division in the NHL.
Right, but you also look at it in the fact that Montreal has 2 games in hand over the Leafs.
That's true too. But
so two wins for Montreal, they're only 2 points back.
Who are their next 2 games?
Toronto.
All right. Well,
big time games for the Canadians.
How do you feel about having played 18 games and only having 20 points, Shane?
I'm not big on it, but definitely a lot better on, like, we started the season 3-6, and now we're 10-8, which means since that 3-6 start, we've won 7 of our last 9 games.
Yeah, you're 7-3-0 in your last 10 games.
Yeah, so definitely, I think those first 8-9 games, there was new players on the team, new system, everything like that to get used to. But now I think the Oilers are rocking and rolling for sure. I don't know. You probably didn't watch that Oilers-Jets game, but those officials were an absolute disgrace.
I heard about that, and I saw
absolute disgrace.
You would see that in like the NBA, and they call a foul. Like, holy shit! There was Jets players that were just falling that weren't even being touched. It looked like.
Yeah, and Darnell Nurse got 2 high sticking penalties in the first period. Not once did he hit a player with a stick. Not once.
Yeah. And then wasn't there like an Oilers player that got high sticked and he was literally bleeding and there was no call?
Yeah. Like, I don't know where these officials are coming from. I mean, Brad Lauer was in on there. He's notorious for missing calls. But yeah, like, the officials in the Oilers-Jets game last night were absolutely brutal. Luckily, the Oilers won 3-2. But yeah, they were brutal. Are you noticing that in Bruins games too?
I feel like officials go through like waves where they'll be decent and then there'll be games where they suck.
There's games where like they call everything under the sun, and then there's games where they just nothing gets called.
In the pocket. Like, my hands are cold. I don't want to blow the whistle. Like,
yeah.
But this team is standing out to me in this division. They played 20 games. How is Vancouver in 6th place?
Yeah, I mean, how is Vancouver in 6th place? And another thing that surprises me too is the Calgary Flames are a game above 500.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, Calgary, I had like finishing 3rd in the North Division. I mean, you got Goudreau, you've got Monahan, you've got, Matt Tkachuk, and then you pick up Markstrom in the offseason.
Yeah.
Markstrom was a huge improvement in goalie, and you're still only 8-7-1. So I don't know if the Flames have kinks to figure out there or what's going on, but a 500 team is not going to make the playoffs in this North Division.
Oh, no, absolutely.
So
it's set up is like there's going to be teams in each division that are good that don't make the playoffs.
And that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, you've got right now, I mean, Vancouver's in 6th place. Montreal's in 2nd place. 3 points separate 2nd to 6th in the North Division. But Vancouver has also played 5 more games than Montreal.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is
that's the thing.
Like, you're what? You're over a third into the season when teams just hit like the quarter mark. Like,
Yeah.
you have a decent amount of your season already played, and you have shit to show for it. You
Yeah,
allowed, I think they've allowed the second most goals or whatever, maybe the first most goals in the league.
to put it into perspective, Tim, Vancouver has one more goal against than Ottawa, the 4-13-1 Senators.
But at the
And I
same
mean, like, that
they
is
can
just
score too.
surprising. Yeah, and like that's surprising as hell to me because they pick up Braden Holtby, who is like, a Stanley Cup winning goaltender,
Yeah.
and they're 8-11-1. And like Thatcher Demko has not been playing bad hockey either.
Yeah.
Like he's a solid backup. So I don't know if like it seems like we talk about this every single week because the Vancouver Canucks just do not get any better.
No, not at all.
They did beat the Flames last night, but yeah, they do not seem to be getting any better. Ottawa has, before we move on, I want to talk about that brutal collapse the Leafs had to the Senators earlier on this week. They were up 5-1 in the second period, lost 6-5 in overtime. I love it.
They're still first in the league. Like,
Still first in the league, and they blow a lead to the 4-13-1 Senators.
oh my god.
I love it. And then they win 2-1 the next game, but
Yeah.
that was a very embarrassing loss. I don't know if you blame that, like I'm in a couple Leafs groups on Facebook, and everyone was calling for Freddie Anderson's head. You know what Leafs fans are like, they lose one game 2-1, and everyone on the team needs to be traded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What scares me, the one thing that stands out to me when looking at the Leafs, going back to them, is Freddie Anderson has already played 15 of those 17 games.
Yeah.
He's getting absolutely no rest at all. When you look at other teams that have like at least some faith in their backup to put their backup in, not every other night, but we're playing in a weird format of this season where you're playing like 3 games of the same team or whatever. So you would at least think start him maybe a third of the games to not wear out Anderson by the 56 games.
Yeah, and it's like it's not like Jack Campbell's a bad goaltender.
No.
Like Jack Campbell is better than anyone that the Oilers have right now.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean? Like,
I don't understand it at all.
And like Freddie Anderson is probably the only goaltender in the North Division that has played, if not more minutes than Mikko Koskinen, around the same. They've both played around 15 games, both Koskinen and Anderson. And I mean, granted, like Mike Smith is back for the Oilers now. He looked good the first 2 games he played. Then he got pulled, and then he played good again last game. So, I mean, that helps a lot. But, I mean, if you're the Leafs, that's a lot of faith that you're riding on Freddie Anderson. And all of a sudden he gets hurt. Jack Campbell plays 2 games the whole season, and then you're relying on Jack Campbell.
It's not that smart at all when you have a season running out like this.
Yeah,
like,
for sure. For sure, yeah. So that is basically the North Division. 4 games tonight in the North Division. It looks like Toronto is up 3-2 on the Senators, or sorry, 5-2 on the Senators right now. After they were winning 3-1 after the first period, and that's the only game in the North Division tonight. So we'll keep tabs on that. We're gonna go to the East Division, where the Boston Bruins still lead with a record of 10-2-2 through their first 14 games. They're looking really good.
Yeah, they are coming off
really
of a
good
lot tonight, so it would absolutely suck if we lost 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm. Boston Bruins are the only team in the East Division to have a perfect home record.
Yeah,
4-0 at home in TD Garden. Yeah, they lost last night. Before that, they had a pretty lengthy winning streak, I do believe. And they have one of the lowest goals against in the league right now.
Yeah. And
they're looking good.
That's kind of good to see, because the most questionable spot in this team heading into the season was defense, because we lost Chara,
Krug,
and now we have a bunch of young kids coming in, and you always have the doubters and Rask and like Halak, and when you put up 30 goals against and 14 games played, that's not too bad at all.
And
You can win.
and I'm not gonna lie, I watched the last Bruins game, their loss there, and Charlie McAvoy is going to be a stud on the blue line.
Oh yeah,
He has absolutely filled the gap for Chara and Krug. He has been playing big minutes for the Bruins. Amazing defenseman.
You think he's filled the hole for both of them?
I don't think he's filled the hole for both of them. Chara for sure. I mean, that's not hard to do
Yeah.
when you're replacing a 43-year-old.
Yeah, a cone from my basement could fill it.
What do you guys think about this proposed trade with Pittsburgh? Crosby for DeBrusk, Bjork, 2 first-rounders, and a top prospect. Is that happening?
There's a huge rumor swirling. But I'm saying don't fucking do it because you're giving up so much of your future, and you're getting a guy that's 32 years old. That's probably going to be retiring in the next 4 or 5 years.
So wait, what was that? Crosby for DeBrusk?
It's Crosby for DeBrusk, Bjork, and two first
rounders and a top prospect.
So
if you're the Bruins,
that
you're
top prospect, that top prospect is Yuko Van, however you pronounce his name, the defenseman. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's the number 1 defense prospect in the league right now.
Yeah,
Ben.
So I'm saying you are giving up so much of your future for
the Bruins for one player, for Sidney Crosby.
That's in a sense not in his prime no more.
I mean, if I was the Penguins, I would do that. I mean, you get DeBrusk, you get Bjork, you get 2 first-rounders, but I mean, the Bruins would get absolutely hosed in that trade.
Yeah, the Penguins would be like, yeah, give me all of that for my future. I'm in a position right now where I have Crosby up there, Malkin up there, Letang up there,
But the only thing that is holding me back from that trade happening, in my opinion, is Boston and Pittsburgh are in the same division right now, and they still play each other probably 5-6 more times. Are you really going to do that trade with an interdivisional team this season? Maybe next season. Next season, if everything goes back to normal, I can 110% maybe possibly see it. But when you're in an interdivisional team where you still play Pittsburgh 5-6 times, I mean, you give up all these players to Pittsburgh, probably making Pittsburgh better. Yeah, Pittsburgh loses their captain, but I mean,
my concern wouldn't be this year. I would think he would better the Bruins this year because, in my opinion, Crosby is better than DeBrusk right now. And
DeBrusk and Bjork, yeah, that's true. But I mean, you also give up 2 first-rounders.
Yeah, but that's not going
to future.
Yeah. But that was my concern is you're giving up all of this future, and the Bruins are not in a good spot coming this offseason. Both of our goalies are up for contracts. Krejci's up for contract. We have a bunch of players up for contracts this year. So we're just going to give up a bunch of first-round picks for Crosby? No.
But, I mean, that could be something like if the Bruins are really chasing a cup and if Crosby wants to try to add a 4th cup to his resume, I mean, the Bruins are 10-2-2 right now without him. Crosby this year, if you give up DeBrusk and Bjork and you add Crosby, I mean, you're just solidifying that roster for the Bruins, absolutely. Right? And you can definitely try to, instant cup contender for the Bruins right there.
Yeah. But, it depends what they want. A cup this year or
in future years. Yeah.
Future.
Yeah. And especially with I could see Pittsburgh possibly pulling that off because Pittsburgh right now is in 5th place. They're on the brink, they've played 14 games. They're 2 points back of Washington for the 4th spot. They're on the brink of that playoff spots. But if you're Pittsburgh, do you give up Crosby, one of your best players, for DeBrusk and Bjork? You know what I mean? I can't see DeBrusk and Anders Bjork making that much of an impact on the Penguins to fill the void left by Crosby.
No, it would be it would benefit each team completely differently in time terms. Mm-hmm. It would make the Bruins almost guaranteed to win a cup this year, but
Yeah.
then take a hit in the next couple 3-5 years. But then for the Penguins, it'd take a hit for the rest of the season. But then they can rebuild in the next couple of years, if you want to say even rebuild. But like, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. There is two more topics that I had planned to talk about in the East Division here. One you kind of already touched on. Tuukka Rask and Yaroslav Halak, the two goalies for the Boston Bruins, are both up for contract.
yeah.
Which goalie do you protect going into the expansion draft, and which one do you leave available for the Seattle Kraken to pick up?
Oh fuck, that's a tough one. All right, hang
Because
on. I won't answer
I mean,
that question. I won't answer that question. But DeBrusque just scored against the Devils right now.
wow. So it's 1-1 now.
He literally it's 2-1 now. They went up 2-0. I didn't say anything about the second goal.
Oh, all right, sounds good.
But anyways, Halak, I would probably give up because he's gonna be 37 in May, I believe. And
Right.
Rask, he's not young at all, but he's gonna be like 34 next month or whatever. So
34 is still a decent age for a goaltender. Like NHL goalies can play till they're 38, 39 years old.
yeah. So I feel like I would just give up Halak and then hope that you can find a backup that was as good as him, you know?
But I mean, the thing is with that is Seattle going to want to pick up a 37-year-old goaltender.
Okay, so then if they don't take him, then you can resign him and
Resign him. True. It was to like a 1 year, 1 million. Yeah.
yeah.
That's true for sure. Okay, so and the next topic is the Buffalo Sabres. Still at the basement.
Fucking
No
suck.
matter like realigned division, the division is theirs to lose, and they're losing it.
Yeah.
12 games, they're 4-6-2. I mean, if you're Jack Eichel, who is going to be probably 24 years old, 24, 25 years old coming up soon, still has not seen a single playoff game in his NHL career. I mean, you got to be getting frustrated if you miss the playoffs again this year.
Oh, absolutely. And they picked up some big name guys over the offseason, like Taylor Hall,
Yeah.
for example. But like
Yeah.
they lost 3 games in a row now. They are 2-5-1 at home.
At home. Yeah.
Like that is not good at all. And yeah, like it's not like they're 4 or 5 games behind either. They're 2 behind, 3 behind the Islanders, and 1 behind Philly. So you can't even make that argument. And I just read right before we went live that Taylor Hall and the Buffalo Sabres are already in discussions about a contract extension.
I mean, that could definitely help, but I mean, it's kind of hard to judge the Sabres right now because of the division they're in. But you have to look at like if the NHL moves to their regular divisions and regular, everything else about them.
It's not going to get any easier.
Yeah, like the Sabres are in the Atlantic Division where you've got Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Tampa, Florida, like 5 big teams right there. Buffalo right now is not better than any of those 5 teams. It's not going to get easier for the Sabres. No. They're in the worst possible division.
And say the divisions do go back next year or whatever. It will most likely go back to 3 teams per division and then 2 wild card per conference after that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah.
You would hope that the Metro division would just completely suck and maybe you can finish 5th place and sneak into the playoffs, you know?
Yeah, and like Martin's comment that just popped up there, like you almost feel bad for Jack Eichel for what he's going through in Buffalo. I mean, I agree, but now Jack Eichel went 2nd overall the same year McDavid got drafted. McDavid obviously went 1st to Edmonton. Do you think if somehow the Oilers had picked Jack Eichel 1st overall, McDavid went 2nd to Buffalo? McDavid's in Buffalo right now. Do you think he would have made a difference to the Sabres? Because McDavid is a better player than Jack Eichel, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, that I never thought that was even an argument. I think that was only a debate because it was the whole, like, Canada versus USA thing.
Right.
But, it's hard to say that one guy, even then, would make that much of a difference in that division to put them into the playoffs because, like, Edmonton might be a shot at you, but the Pacific Division regularly isn't necessarily the strongest division.
Yeah, I agree.
So, in a sense, it would probably be easier to get a team like Edmonton into the playoffs than it would be to get a team like Buffalo into the playoffs.
I agree 100%. And another thing with that is you look at Buffalo's goalies. Linus Allmark is their starting goalie. When you think of capable starting goalies in the National Hockey League, Linus Allmark doesn't even come in the top 25.
No, not at all.
I can think of like at least 20 goalies better than Linus Allmark.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, there's definitely holes to be filled there in that Sabres lineup for sure. And I mean, it's only a matter of time before, Jack Eichel gets so frustrated. He wants out of Buffalo. He wants to get a chance to win. Because, I mean, if I was in the National Hockey League for 6-7 years and never made the playoff once, I mean, you're damn right I'm going to ask for a trade.
Yeah.
Or go somewhere that gives me that opportunity.
And it's not like, oh, we didn't make the playoffs. We missed it by 1 point. It was, we knew in February that we were going to make the playoffs.
And that's the thing with the Sabres. They're not, like you said, they're not just 1, 2, 3 points out of the playoffs every year. They're consistently like at least 10, 15 points out.
One point I wanted to make about the Devils is, and I hate it because we're playing them right now, but they're in 6th in this division right now, but they're at least like 3 to 4 games behind each of the top 4 teams, and they're only 5 points out from 4th place. For the Devils, that's not bad at all, I feel like.
Yep, and one thing about the Devils is they have one rookie player on that team, and I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but his name's like Igor Sharangovich or something like that.
I know who you're talking about. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's like Sharangovich or something like that. I'm not gonna lie. I've watched a whopping total of like 0 Devils games this year, but I mean, like every time I look at like highlights and stats and everything and like game summaries, he's putting up like a consistent amount of points. Do you think like this no-name player from the Devils? Do you think he maybe gets into the Calder conversation?
If he puts up enough points, yeah.
I mean, he's also competing against Tim Stützle, who I think is right now probably So, I mean, like, I just see his name everywhere when I look at like Devils game summaries and stuff like that. I've never even heard of the guy.
Yeah, I haven't either. But what do you think of the Rangers? Because I feel like they were expected to be a team like at least in contention of a top 4 spot.
Yeah, I expected them to be better than.
But
yeah,
you're 4 games behind New Jersey, and you're behind them by 1 point.
Yeah, I didn't expect the Rangers to be 4-7-3 in their first 14 games. I mean, especially when you have Artemi Panarin, you have Alexis Lafreniere, who the Rangers basically snagged at the first overall spot because the Rangers were not supposed to get that first overall pick.
You also have like Zibanejad, you have Capo.
Yeah, like you've got like decent forwards, and then you've got guys like Jacob Trouba, Adam Fox on the blue line, and you've got fairly capable goaltenders in Georgiev and Shesterkin.
And a good head coach. David Quinn's a good head coach.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, I don't know if it's just a slow start, like a number of teams have had this year, or what. But I mean, the Rangers definitely, they're kind of at that time now where they got to play must-win hockey. Jay here says, odd question, but how much harder is it for a good player to get recognition on a tanking/weak team?
It's hard if you don't score highlight goals.
Yeah, pretty hard. Like, Jack Eichel does not get nearly as much recognition as Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby.
No. If Jack Eichel was on a playoff team, and like I feel like he would absolutely produce more points than he does, which would mean he would get more recognition right there.
Yeah, and like you look at teams like the Detroit Red Wings. Like no, like they're 4-11-3. No one on their team gets any recognition at all. No. I probably, to be honest, I probably can't even name 5 players on their team right now. And I mean, like Ottawa Senators, like again, 4-13-1, not a good hockey team. Guys on the Ottawa Senators, like you never hear of, like Thomas Chabot is a good top 4 defenseman on any NHL team.
Oh yeah.
But you never hear of him because he's on the 4-13-1 Senators.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you know,
I just think because you could say like, oh, Edmonton wasn't that great when McDavid came in, but at the same time, like we said, when you have the speed that McDavid has, like it's easy to make highlight like goals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, for sure. So yeah, I would say, Jay, definitely it is a lot harder. And then you get teams like Toronto, like all you hear about is Austin Matthews this, Morgan Riley that, Mitch Marner that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all you hear about. And then Boston Bruins, you also hear about, like Brad Marchand, Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak was on a goal-scoring streak there for a long time. That's all you heard about. But they're a good hockey team, and good hockey teams get a lot more recognition.
Yeah, absolutely, as they should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, definitely 100%, Jay. To answer your question, Central Division now, Tim. We're going to switch gears a little bit here. Tampa Bay Lightning lost their first home game. And I believe, as it stands right now, yes, the Boston Bruins are the only undefeated team at home right now so far.
Yeah.
Last week, this time, there was like 3 or 4. But now there's only one. Boston Bruins. Tampa Bay lost their first game at home. They've also dropped to 3rd in the Central Division. Florida Panthers take over number 1 spot, 10-2-2. Same record as the Boston Bruins.
This division is just a mind fuck to me.
And Chicago, 2nd place. You and I were talking about that this morning.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Florida in 1st with 14 games played. Chicago in 2nd, 18 games played. They're tied for 1st. So, all right, they've played 4 more games than any other top 4 teams in the division. That's it. But you also have to think they're doing this without Taze, Kirby Doc, and Seabrook.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing key figures to that team, and they're still performing well above what we expected of them. And then you have the team that went to the Stanley Cup Finals in 6th place right now.
Yeah, and going back to Chicago, they've won 3 in a row, 4 of their last 5. It seems like they're finding their stride. And I mean, you've got guys
if beating the Detroit Red Wings in overtime once and 3-0 the other night is finding your stride, then okay, I'll give them that.
I mean, yeah, that's very true. But I mean, still, these next 2 games are against the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes are 10-3-1. Definitely not a bad team.
No.
And these next 2 games for the Blackhawks, yeah, they're in 2nd place, but these next 2 games are, really determine who they are as a hockey team. If they can beat Carolina in 2 games, maybe you start giving Chicago a little bit more recognition. But I mean, you and I had this show last week. Chicago was way down in 5th, 6th place, and now all of a sudden they're up to 2nd. They've also, like you said, played 4 more games than anyone else in the top 4, and they're only, they're only 1 point ahead of Tampa or Carolina. So things could definitely change. But I mean, the Central Division is very, very close.
And the whole thing with Chicago is besides McDavid and Draisaitl leading the league in stats, Patrick Kane is in 3rd.
Yeah.
And he's 32 years old. I did not expect him to already have 23 points.
Yeah.
This season at all.
Mm-hmm. You got Patrick Kane in 3rd. Dominic Kubalik is showing up. Plus, you think of it this way, you'll get Taves back sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And you'll get Kirby Doc back.
Yeah. Honestly, that sucked when he completely destroyed his wrists in the World Juniors.
Yeah, in a pre-tournament game too. Because not only did he screw up that tournament for Canada, but I mean, now he can't play with his actual NHL team. But I mean, Blackhawks are proving people wrong. 9-5-4. I never would have guessed they would have been that in 18 games.
No, absolutely not.
And what's really impressive for the Blackhawks, they are 5-2-1 at United Center at home.
Yeah.
Which I
So
mean, like that's a
get
good.
home ice in the playoffs, and you're in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely for sure. Columbus Blue Jackets kind of right where I expected them to be, 5th place, a game over 500. Um, Patrick Laine is looking really good. Same with Jack Roslovic.
Hmm.
Yeah, the 2 players they got from Winnipeg in that trade for Dubois. And Nashville, I think, is on it's their time to rebuild. They were
Yeah.
they were a really good hockey team
Yeah.
for 3 years back in 2016 to 2018, and now they're just steadily on the decline. They're 6-9. Pekka Rinne is going to be 38 years old, I think.
It's because I think they had a core group of guys that went to the finals in 2017, and those guys were kind of up there in age. A decent amount of them were over 30 years old.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, all right, 30 in the NHL for a forward or a defenseman is like over the hill a bit, they tried to hold on to that core because they were like, oh, we went to the finals last year. Let's keep the same team. We'll go back next year. Well, when the NHL keeps getting younger and younger and faster, you're just gonna go. You're just gonna keep falling behind.
Yep. Yeah, for sure, 100%. And
Pekka is done. Like he's been done for at least a few years, in my opinion, honestly.
Yep. Nashville's really only attempt at a cup was that year they went to the finals against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That was their only attempt at a cup. Same with the San Jose Sharks, which we'll get to. But San Jose lost to Pittsburgh one year, Nashville the year after.
Well, the thing is Nashville went to the Cup that year, and then they won the President's Trophy the following year and lost in the second round to the
That's and what's really surprising to me, I knew the Nashville Predators weren't going to be a playoff team this year in the Central Division.
Yeah.
But I was not expecting them to be a -16 goal differential so far.
No, not at all. And I did not expect them to be 1 point ahead of Detroit.
Yeah, 1 point ahead of Detroit. Detroit's also played 3 more games, but still, one win for Detroit, and then Nashville's in last place. So I mean, Detroit still got a -21 goal diff. They're not good.
No.
Steve Yzerman's got a lot of work to do yet with that crew, but other than that, this Central Division is probably right now the hardest to predict. I mean, with the North Division and the East Division, you can kind of, it's only a third of the way into the season, but you can kind of predict which teams are going to be there in that top 4. Central Division, everything is completely out of whack.
Yeah.
You don't know if Chicago's going to make it. You don't know if Florida is looking really good, but you don't know if Columbus is going to make it, Carolina, Tampa.
And
you know what I mean?
The whole thing is heading into the season, I would have said Tampa, Carolina, Dallas, and then a toss-up between Columbus and Florida would be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I didn't even consider Chicago going to the playoffs. And yeah, it was so early, but how long can you say it was so early in the season for,
Yeah, and I think the biggest blessing for the Florida Panthers was getting Joel Quenneville as a coach.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
3-time Stanley Cup winning head coach, one of the most winningest coaches in the NHL.
I believe only behind Scotty Bowman.
Scotty Bowman, yeah. And I think there's one more ahead of him. I could be wrong.
But still, top 3 all time. And the Panthers.
Yeah. And
I never understood why Chicago even got rid of him, honestly.
I think I had that one bad season, and they just canned him. They're just see ya. Mind you, Jeremy Colleton does not get enough credit because there are guys on the Chicago Blackhawks team that are older than their head coach.
Yeah.
Jeremy Colleton is 34, 35 years old. Duncan Keith is 37. I can't imagine playing on a team where my head coach is younger than me. You know what I mean?
I'd be okay, Junior.
Yeah. Shut up. You're not the boss of me. But yeah, and then you mentioned Dallas Stars went to the Stanley Cup final last season, 6th place.
Granted, they've played the least amount of games in the division, so they still have some catching up to do. And
Yeah, I mean 5-3-4 is not a bad record either.
And they're 4-1-3 at home, so
Yeah,
let them catch up on those games. Let them
yeah.
catch up on the
Give
since they
them
played.
time for sure. I mean, Dallas plays Florida next, so those were two big games for the Dallas Stars.
Yeah,
If they can somehow, even split with Florida, they're 6-4-4, and then their two games after that are Detroit, which should be 2 wins, so they'd be 8-4-4, which is not a bad record for the Dallas Stars.
no, that's 20 points right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, definitely give them time to play, 15, 16 games like the rest of the division. So then switching over to the West Division, this is another kind of cluster in this division for sure, because you've got Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado, Arizona, all within 5 points of each other, the top four. And Arizona's, they're a game above 500, but they're somewhat starting to find their stride a little bit. They've got at least 1 point in 4 of their last 5 games.
Yeah, and I mean this division, I think we could have assumed that Vegas, St. Louis, and Colorado would be the top 3 teams. And
yeah, that fourth place. I mean, Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado. Yeah,
in some order, those 3 teams are going to be the top of that division.
Yeah, and that's going to be a dogfight for that 4th spot.
Yeah, and if you look at this division, you have Arizona in 4th with 16 points. Minnesota has 12 points, and they're in last place, but they also are 3 games behind Arizona.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count Minnesota out yet, even though they've lost back-to-back games.
And honestly, before the season, I had Minnesota snagging that 4th spot.
It wouldn't surprise me because Anaheim sucks, LA sucks, San Jose
sucks.
So it's either Arizona or Minnesota getting into that 4th spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I love seeing those 3 California teams bottom of the division.
Oh,
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Because all 3 of those teams in a normal NHL season are in the same division as the Oilers. They've always been great hockey teams.
I like seeing the Ducks suck because I'm not a huge Ryan Getzlaf fan. Those Ducks teams that went deep into the playoffs, I hated them. I did like the LA Kings that won the cup because those teams were just fun to watch. But
yeah, they were.
I've always been indifferent on
the 2012 LA Kings, where they literally snuck into the playoffs with the 8th seed and then went to watch the cup. That was probably the most fun NHL playoffs I've ever watched.
Oh, absolutely.
Just watching the Kings and watching them all band together, and they defeated number 1 Detroit, who was everyone's favorite to win the cup that year.
Yeah, I want to say that just completely destroyed the Red Wings.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they made the playoffs anywhere deep since then.
Yeah, for sure. And then they took out Vancouver.
Yeah.
Was that the Stanley Cup final that year? No, that was Boston. They took out Vancouver in 5 games.
Yeah, because Vancouver went to the finals the year before.
Yeah.
I believe they played the Devils in 2012, I think, right?
Vancouver? Or no, it's LA. Yeah, they played the Devils. Yeah, you're right.
Because they played the Devils in 2012, and then they played the Rangers in 2014.
If you think about that, how weird that is, knowing that 9 years ago the Devils were in the Stanley Cup final and now they're not even a relevant NHL team.
Well, that's fucking weird. But then also when I was younger, the Devils were the shit.
Yeah, Marty Brodeur and
in a span of 8 years.
They
were them in Colorado were the shit, and then Detroit was always in there.
Yeah, those Colorado teams with Peter Forsberg, Joe Sakic, Milan Hajduk. Those were great, and Peter Stastny, Patrick Waugh, yeah, for sure. But anyways, yeah, for sure. And then, getting back to the West Division, I'm not gonna lie, I did not see Anaheim being the best of the California teams right now.
I didn't really either.
They're only one more win for Anaheim and they're 500.
And they're only 1 point out of out of that fourth spot right now. And I've seen some games from Anaheim where I'm like, what the hell is going on? This team is not supposed to be that good. It's probably Gibson and Nat like holding on, but I've read that he wants to get out of Anaheim because obviously it's not a good situation.
Yeah, and I actually there was a whole bunch of rumors swirling up here that Gibson would be willing to waive a no trade clause to Edmonton.
He would probably like, please, for the love of God, give us a fucking goalie.
Yeah, but I mean, if you are the Oilers and you were interested in picking up a goalie like John Gibson, perfect. I'm 100% with that. John Gibson is a great goalie. He's just on a shit team right now. But who do you give up? Like, I mean, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is too much.
Yeah.
Who do you give up if you're the Oilers? I mean, Nugent-Hopkins is going to be a UFA this year.
Draft picks,
but I mean, I feel like Anaheim's going to want more than just draft picks for their starting goaltender.
I don't know.
Do you just do one? Do you just do 1 for 1? Gibson for Koskinen. Please, for the love of God, take Koskinen's $4.5 million contract for all I care. Take that, and we'll take Gibson.
If the Ducks GM was Peter Chiarelli, then I would say absolutely that's a possibility, but that's not the case.
I don't even know who the Ducks GM is, to be honest with you.
I couldn't tell you. Could not tell you.
So Colorado Avalanche are looking really good. Vegas Golden Knights, again, with those god-awful Ferrero Rocher looking helmets. I don't know what in the world they were wearing there.
I'm like, I just keep thinking, what the fuck is this? Notre Dame football? Like,
they're so hard on the eyes. Like, Vegas and Colorado was on the TV here the other night, and like I turned it on, and my dad FaceTimed me, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you think of Vegas's helmets?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't like them." And he's like, "Aren't they gay?" I was like, "Yeah," but I mean, like they're so hard on the eyes. Like you're trying to watch the hockey game, and you're trying to watch the flow of puck, and all you can see is these shiny ass gold helmets.
Yeah,
they just take away everything.
I hope like those helmets for some ungodly reason are on the TV when I wake up one day like hungover as hell, because that would be
wake you up in a heartbeat.
That would be the worst thing to see when you wake up and you're just like, what the fuck are those? I haven't watched I don't believe I've watched a game with like the gold helmets, but
yeah, I don't recommend it. Vegas, I don't know who was the bright spark in that organization who thought of those god awful bright gold helmets.
But how they even go with like the uniform?
They
like,
don't. Yeah, like
what jerseys do they wear with those?
They have those yellow. They have those really nice looking yellow home jerseys, which I can maybe see.
The helmet on, and then they
but like Vegas wears their home grays with those shiny ass gold helmets, and they don't even fit into the uniform at all. So it's like I don't understand who would have thought of those or who thinks those look nice, but it's surely not me.
What do you think of the Blues in this division though? Like 20 points, 16 games. Like I feel like they would probably be the team that would finish third of those three teams.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I mean, you look at the Blues; they have a .500 record at home, and then they're 6-2 on the road. So they obviously are a better road team so far. But yeah, I can see, Colorado is still 3 games back of St. Louis and 1 from Vegas. I can see Colorado winning 2 of their next 3 games and taking the lead over St. Louis.
Yeah.
But then, you know what? Honestly, if I had to say it right now, I would say Vegas takes number 1 over Colorado in this division.
Yeah, I hate to say that, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Vegas has been like, I mean, that's another team that I'm looking forward to the days where they're in like their rebuild phase.
Mm-hmm.
Because ever since they came into the league and they were gifted that team where they went to the Stanley Cup Finals, That's why I'm so nervous for the Seattle Kraken to come in and them playing in the Pacific Division, because if the expansion draft is anything like it was for the Golden Knights, Seattle will be handed a beautiful team again, and just run away with the Pacific Division, and then that's one less spot for the Oilers to grab.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, them going into the Pacific Division is not good, because the whole thing is the Coyotes are leaving and going to the Central, right?
Yeah, which is,
So,
I mean, that's good for me, because Oilers never play good against Coyotes. Never.
yeah,
No matter how great or how shitty the Coyotes are, Oilers will always lose to them. So I'm content
when
with
it
them
comes
going
to
to the...
stand-ins, though, like when it comes to stand-ins, I feel like Arizona is always a team that you're fighting like neck and neck for, and then you're gonna have a team like Seattle, who's gonna definitely be gifted a team like Vegas was, and they're gonna be like, I feel like Seattle will be better than Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Seattle will be better than, almost every Canadian team.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just interested to see, like, we're going to have a special episode when that expansion draft happens, because I'm so interested to see, like, which teams protect which players. Because I think you're only allowed to protect 7 players, right?
Fuck. It's like 6 forwards, 3
Like
defensemen,
3 defensemen and 1 goalie.
1 goalie, or it's something like that. And there's another option with no goalies, or there's another option where you protect 2 goalies. But it's like the players that you can protect are therefore like changed. But it's nothing. Like, okay, 6 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie. That's your starter, your top 3 defensemen, your top 2 lines.
Yeah.
And if you're a smart GM, you're not going to only protect your top 2 lines, because then you're just allowing
You have nothing in the bottom 6. Yeah. And we all know Exhibit A, Edmonton Oilers, with top 2 lines. That's all they have. They have 2 lines. And we all know how much success the Oilers have.
Yeah. So when there's 31 other teams in the league to fucking choose from players, that's half of these rosters are going to be unprotected. And you have 31 teams to choose one player from. No shit, your team is going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One more piece of news here before we head out for the night. There was a big trade a couple days ago. Alex Galchenyuk went to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
And then there was a big meme going around where, like, it had, Patrick Star from SpongeBob SquarePants with his checklist of all the teams, and then Galchenyuk crossing them all off, because he's literally been everywhere. He's been with the Wild, the Coyotes, the Canadiens, the Hurricanes for like 2 days.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm surprised that the Leafs had any cap space to take on Galchenyuk's contract.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have any cap space at the beginning of the year to begin with. And then they brought in guys like Wayne Simmons and Joe Thornton. And like, how do you find the space to sign Alex Galchenyuk? Especially when you have like your 4 top guys making over $40 million a year in a year where the NHL's already strapped with, salary cap and everything like that because of the financial difficulties.
Honestly,
if you're Kyle Dubas, how do you do that?
How do you pull that out of your ass? Like,
I'm willing to bet. I've always said this. I swear to God, the Leafs have like $10 extra million in cap space than any other team, because that's what it seems like every year. Into every single season, they have $2 million in cap space, and they sign $7 million
and they get rid of nobody. I'm pretty sure they were in the negatives this year, and they had to trade like a person away just to get into the positives.
Yeah, and they had to put like 3 guys on LTIR. So, I mean, I don't know how. I mean, good for the Leafs. I think Galchenyuk will be a great, 3rd, 4th liner for that team.
Yeah.
But I just, from a personal standpoint, I just can't see how the Leafs can afford anyone at this point.
No, I can't either. I honestly can't either. But like, they're first in the league, and I feel like he's only gonna bring positive to that team. So
yeah, absolutely. And so with the Canucks beating the Flames last night, they smoked the Flames.
Yeah.
They absolutely smoked them. Do you think this is the beginning of a turnaround? I know, like, we ask this question every single episode, and it just doesn't seem to happen. But like,
Now I'm saying
you have to feel like at some point the Canucks are going to turn around because they've got a great team. Like Quinn Hughes leads all defensemen in scoring,
yeah.
and he's like ninth in the league in scoring right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But like the whole thing is they've also played 20 games. So at what point are you like, yeah, you have 36 games left, but you got to turn things around quickly because you're in a division where you're not going to be able to get back into the playoffs easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I mean, you got 36 games left, and you're 8-11-1.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're the Canucks, I think your only hope to make the playoffs in the North Division, where you got to battle teams like Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, Winnipeg, is you got to go on a lengthy winning streak.
Yeah.
If you're the Canucks, because other than that, I just don't see like they. I mean, the Oilers had a 3-6-1 start, and they're in third place. They've seen to turn it around, but the Canucks just went on too much of a losing streak for too long. And are you excited for the Battle of Alberta tomorrow? I know I am.
Absolutely. And I'm also fucking pumped for the outdoor games this weekend.
Oh, who's playing in the outdoor games? I didn't know there was.
Vegas and Colorado are playing Saturday, and then Boston and Philly are playing Sunday at Lake Tahoe.
Man, Boston and Philly outdoor game. I got to watch that. I hope that's on TV.
Oh, it will be. It will be.
All right, so that is pretty much it for this episode. We're going to just do a quick recap of the scores right now before we let you enjoy your rest of the Thursday night. We got the Devils up 3-1 on the Bruins at the end of the second period. Save the swear words, Tim. Rangers and Philly are tied at 1 at the end of the second. Pittsburgh up 2-0 on the Islanders. 17 minutes left in the third there. Columbus is up 2-0 on Nashville at the start of the third. Toronto smoking the Sens at the start of the third, 6-2. The Blues are up 1-0 on the Sharks at the end of the first. And then 12 minutes left in the third, and the Capitals are up on the up on the Sabres 3-0. So another loss for the Sabres.
Yep.
You're already last in the league. I don't know. Not looking good.
All right, man.
Anything else to add, Tim?
I don't have anything else to add. I'm just hoping that Boston has another one of their 2-goal third period comebacks.
Man, honestly, if Boston scores 2 goals, we already know they're going to win in overtime because the Bruins are like crazy in overtime.
Yep.
It's going to be a great finish to that game for sure.
All right.
All right. Catch you later, Tim. See you guys later next